Welcome to My Life's Reward. We've had a few weeks of ATV videos with a trail reference guide off the website and the top 5 trails of Michigan. Let's get into some money saving ideas that we might be able to use to help actually ride more. So when you're costing out things, there's some areas to consider. And I'm going to start from the largest cost items to the more day-to-day trip type things that you might think about. Okay, for big ticket items, we need something to ride like an ATV, side-by-side or a quad. We need something to tow it with, and we need a trailer to have it loaded on so we can take it around to the trails. Whether you want a quad, the side-by-side, or something else, you've got to buy one or somehow get one or borrow one. If you're going to buy new, my recommendation, at least what I did, is I called around to various places and made my best deal over the phone with them. And then I went to a local place, and the local place was a little higher. I urged them that I wanted to do business locally, and they matched the price and also gave us some further discounts on accessories. If you have a riding partner and you can buy more than one, you can leverage the price even down further. So those are some ideas on how you might buy new with Marketplace, Craigslist, and other various sources of buying and selling. Used might be a good option for you. Just make sure that the item has been well taken care of, the oil's been changed, and I guess the only way to do that is to ask questions and have trust. Sometimes that doesn't always work out though. Buying from somebody that you know or a family member may be the best route there. But you got to first get a ride. Since 2020, I did make my purchase in 2018. It was pre-COVID. With the supply chain the way it is, it's hard to get things at a cost that was comparable to 2018. So you're going to need to be prepared to pay more. Virtually the same quad that I bought in 2018, if I were to buy it now, would be about $2,000 to $3,000 more. This is probably the biggest ticket item of all, and that is a tow vehicle. Whether it's an old truck or a new Jeep or something in between, you can plan on towing. A quad is not quite 1,000 pounds, and a side-by-side, if it's maybe 2 passengers, maybe 1,500 pounds, and a 4 passenger is going to be closer to 2,000 pounds. The Jeep Wrangler Unlimiteds can tow 3,500 pounds. Larger trucks, way above that. You just have to plan the tow accordingly. You have the weight of the trailer, you have the weight of whatever else you have on the trailer, spare tire, cargo box, and then whatever it is that you're hauling. So if it's just one quad, you may be hauling 1,500 pounds to 2,000 pounds, depending on if your trailer is aluminum or steel. If you have 2 quads, then you're hauling somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds. And then, of course, your side-by-sides are going to be more. Most any trailer will do, snowmobile trailer like this with some brackets on the side for putting up some wooden barriers. It can be a utility trailer that you use to haul your lawnmower around, as long as it's wide enough and long enough. Just about any trailer will work, and you just want to check the capacity weight on it, make sure the tires will hold whatever the weight is, and you're good to go. And you can get started relatively cheaply on the trailer side if you can make something else work. For most recreational activities, we always have the legal things to get out of the way. First thing is an OHV ORV education card. The next thing is an ORV related sticker or stickers, depending on where you're going to go, and a recreational pass. I did some searching thinking that I was going to find that you needed a driver's license to operate an ORV, but I did not find in a handbook or any website that you needed a driver's license. However, in the handbook, it says that if you're under the influence of alcohol or transporting alcohol, or you're in some sort of an accident with alcohol, that it would be 4 to 6 points on your driver's license. But I don't really know what happens if those kinds of things happen and you don't have a driver's license. Now, this card that I have on the screen, it's for people that are under the age of 16 that are under the supervision of an adult. And then there's other special requirements if they're under the age of 12. Adults are also encouraged to do this official Michigan OHV ORV safety course online. There's a $29.50 charge for it. Then there are the ORV stickers. The ORV sticker on the right is required to ride eligible county roads, frozen surfaces of public waters, state forest roads open to ORV use, and eligible national forest roads. An ORV trail permit is required when operating on a state-designated ORV trails and scramble areas. And then you can see the cost. They don't look like they changed in 2023. These are 2022 stickers, so the 2023 are going to be a different color. The State of Michigan Recreational Pass is needed to access state parks, recreation areas, boating access sites, state forest campgrounds, trails with your vehicle that it's on as far as the plated vehicle, and then other outdoor spaces. So the point there is if you're going to use a state park to camp when you're using your ORV, you could pay more at the entry of the park. It's just, in my opinion, it's just more economical. In the accessories area, you're going to need a helmet, and you can spend anywhere from a couple $100 to $1,000, depending on what you're looking for. Some sort of eye protection, whether those are goggles, shield, glasses. Helmet radios, if you want, though sometimes I just like the peace and solitude of the ride. Well, you can always turn the helmet radio off, but it is nice to have helmet radios if you're riding with other people, just to kind of keep in contact and know what each other's doing. And then some sort of riding gloves. I like having riding gloves because as you're operating the controls, things tend to get a little sore. Gloves help. Also, when you're reaching up to maybe push away sticks or something, the gloves help to protect your hands. Lowering trip expenses. When you're staying overnight, you can camp out, you can sleep in your vehicle, and you could find cheap motel rooms or maybe a family member or a friend that you could stay with, and that would help to lower trip expenses. Also, when you do want to stay someplace where you have to pay, splitting that cost with somebody makes it half the cost. Fuel, you want to try to avoid going to more remote areas that when you don't have fuel on board, like make sure your rides are filled up with gasoline, and we do have roto packs, or you could have extra gas containers with extra fuel and have those filled up where gas might be cheaper for you depending on where you live. Buddy up on trailering costs a lot to drive a vehicle, and especially when you're towing something. And if you have trailers that have enough room for more than one ride, why not take more than one if you can make that work? Reducing wear, not maybe riding on paved roads. That's where I see my tires the rubber gets eaten up quite fast, is on paved roads. Doing maybe unnecessary spin outs, of course, that's maybe where all the fun is for you, but sometimes that leads to belt issues, or your tires don't last as long, or something else breaks when doing those kind of things. Purchasing supplies, try to plan ahead and buy things ahead of time at the cheaper places, like whether you're going to Meijer, Walmart, local grocery stores. It's when you go to these convenience places and for the things that you forget where the costs are much, much higher. And minimize modifications. I've modified my ATV very little. The only thing that I've really changed design-wise is I put a little bit heavy-dutier springs in the back. Only after the shocks and the stock springs and the shocks had a problem, I just replaced it with something that was a little beefier. Other than that, everything is pretty much stock except for the replacement rubber and rims that I've done. Now on the other side, Kyle, my son, has done a lot of modifications to his, and I'm not really sure that he's as happy with all the modifications. I would say especially maybe the rims and the tires perhaps weren't exactly what he had hoped they would be in the end. But unless you do those things and experience it, you really don't know until you try it for yourself. But those modifications can be expensive, and I would say try to buy those things built in to it when you buy the quad in the first place, whether it's new or used. If you're looking for those kinds of things, it's a lot cheaper to buy it used or as some sort of a package deal when you buy the quad new. The last category is planning. My recommendation is to book early. You have more options, and you can call around, and if you have maybe 2 or 3 different places that you can go and they all have vacancies, you can pick the best one that is maybe the best geographical location or maybe the lowest amount of money. Depends on what you're looking for. Leverage all the riders to maximize supplies, especially if you're overlanding. You want to not double up on things that you need that just take up space, is to coordinate the kind of things that you're taking, and everybody pitches in on the supplies, and that works out best. Planning the trails and the routes beforehand. Up on my website, there's the ORV trails, the Michigan Trails link, and that shows all the 50-inch trails, the 72-inch trails. You can download those GPX files, bring them into something like Gaia GPS, and you can actually see what kind of miles you might be covering. And if you have a mapping system on the trail, you can actually have those routes right there. So as you're driving, you can see them. Sometimes out on the trails, things are not marked very well, or it looks like maybe this is a trail or that's a trail, but it's definitive when you're seeing it on a map, and you can see where you're going, and you can see that you're still on the planned route. That is a rundown of the things that I have found that might save some money for other people, like it has for me. And I was glad to bring that to you. And like always, if you have questions, please throw them down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer. And if I don't know the answer, I can certainly try to find one. Thank you for stopping by the channel and watching this video. And until next week, take care.